Hey guys, welcome back to Interstage Window, our Saturday stream, which is conversation between me and almost always Landon. Say hi,
Hi,
Landon.
Landon. Coming from you from my home now, but it's a different background. The walls are painted.
Every single time Landon is on camera, it's different.
I'm a Sagittarius, therefore I am a world traveler, which means
Mm.
that I don't like to be confined to one space. Well, at least until that space is well done, which this space is well on the way to being. So
Oh my gosh. It's crazy how much a different coat of paint makes such a huge difference.
it's insane. Thumper! Sorry, I just saw that moment in the chat. No,
Yes,
it's
welcome Jed, welcome Thumper.
the entire room is now this beautiful green, and I'm like, oh, it's we're well on my way. We'll talk about it in a second, but yeah,
Yes. All right, well first, Landon, what is it that we're going to be talking about today?
we are going to be talking about applications and group RPs, what they're for, the different kinds of applications you'll come across, some ways to we'll give some good tips on how to write good applications, and we're going to give some great tips for mods and admin, especially to reading and helping your players succeed on their applications. And that's basically what we're going to be talking about for the most part.
Yes, yes. So this is something that I've covered on several spare room episodes, but I wanted us to have an opportunity to expand on it, and also for y'all to hear a more different perspective than just mine, because I know the application process can be nerve-wracking both from a player and a mod perspective. So that's what we're going to get into today. But I want to start out before I start the game. For favorite things, I have something very special for you guys. I got my very first ever sponsorship. So thank you so much to Javi Coffee for sponsoring today's episode of Interstage Window. It's a coffee concentrate, so that's what this little guy is right here behind me. I'll show the camera right here. Javi Coffee concentrate. Yeah, I've already drank a bunch of it. I don't know. You can't really tell that on camera. I've already drank a bunch of it.
Which means
So I'm def.
delicious,
Go ahead, Landon.
which means it must be delicious.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. I'm a coffee fiend, and I've been reached out to by sponsors before, but they've usually turned out to be like fake or scams or something like that. So I was very excited when the first one that I've gotten that seemed decent actually really was decent. It's good. I actually made some coffee this morning with it right here, so that's what's in this red cup that I'm drinking. Some of the Javi coffee. And because it's a concentrate, you can put however much in you want. They recommend 1 to 2 tablespoons in your drink. But I actually, since it's a second cup of coffee for the day, put in only half a tablespoon. So, there we go. Thank you, Jed. I will fix that right now. I'll add in a hashtag sponsored. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, always looking out for me. I appreciate that. All right, that's all fixed. Um, So I would say, as far as this product goes, I would say I would get it again, but what I probably would really use it for is to make like coffee desserts and things of that nature, because it's way easier if you've ever made a coffee flavored dessert to use concentrate as opposed to actual coffee. So there you go
I
with that.
was gonna say a nice, also like mocha or coffee martini.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This little thing for some coffee concentrate too for our over 21-year-old listeners and watchers. Uh, Superior.
Yes, it's those are another thing that's like much better when you use concentrate instead of trying to do the recipe with coffee. You just don't get very much coffee flavor. So Landon, if you could please put the affiliate link into the chat for us, if you don't mind. If you guys are interested in getting some Javi coffee, if you click that, full disclosure, I get a little bit of a kickback. So if you are interested, then please use that link. It will help support the show.
I will be
Um,
ordering some just to try that martini theory. Just saying.
have you tried a coffee concentrate before? Any other coffee concentrates?
I have, yes, but not necessarily of great quality, and not to make a martini, mostly to bake.
Yeah, I've gotten them before to bake too. So coffee
But
is a milk.
sure, any coffee is a milk. You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Jed. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get the game started. And while I do, Landon, tell us what your favorite thing is this week.
I do have to say, I think my favorite thing is this office that is coming together. I have a room in my house that is a guest bedroom, but it's a wonderful space that I am finally making my own now that I am on summer vacation. Which means that I am taking care to provide an aesthetically pleasing background for you all to see, since we're going to be showing my face more and more every stream.
Yes. I'm so
uh,
excited for you.
Thank you. I love it. We are trying to, we being the people inside my brain, are going for if a library met a terrarium meets potion lab. So that is the aesthetic that we're going for. I don't know what that looks like to you, but to me it looks like glass, green, and gold, and
I'm here for it.
lots of colorful potions. So that's what we're really aiming for, and it is. I've created this one, like Karen and the group got like a whole bunch of spam yesterday from like me being like, look at these things that I made, and look at this one particular corner is acceptable now. So just saying that if there's anything specific you think my background needs, I am taking suggestions for design, especially since you guys will be seeing this more and more as we do more of these streams.
I love that. I love that. And yes, I got DM spammed yesterday as Landon was putting some of these things together and felt so inspired. Like it's making me think like, oh, I need to rearrange my office, right? I can't help myself. It just looks so good. It makes me think like I want to do some cool things in my space too. And Landon, I think you're gonna love having a separate office from your bedroom, by the way. So yes, I'm really excited for you. And yes, Jed, I totally have Samantha on my list. Don't worry, eventually Samantha will be born. Landon is pregnant, however, we've got both a girl name and a boy name picked out from the list already, so Samantha will be potentially up next for the next pregnancy.
Samantha.
Yes. Oh, hey, Katie, how's it going? Yes, it is Sims Day.
Katie! Hello, my love. But now that we've done favorite things, should we jump right into our topic?
Yes, we should. So, how do we want to get started today talking about RP group apps?
I think we should talk about the pros and cons of having an app in general.
Okay.
What are the reasoning? What is considered an app? All of that before we dive into the actual different kinds of apps there are. Why is it necessary? Why isn't it necessary?
Mm-hmm. All right. So then, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the answer to that first question is that every single RP has an app, and that's why it's necessary.
Yeah.
no matter what, you are still asking your players to pick a character, to think about that character, and to play that character. And even if that's the basic, that's still an app.
Yep. Yep. So when I think of that, if something doesn't have an app, then we're not talking about a group role play anymore. We're talking about something that's like a drop in, drop out role play, or maybe it's a one-on-one situation, right? But every single role play group that I have ever seen, it has an app. Even if they're called appless, they have an app, right? Because like Landon said, at some point you got to pick your character. It's the same thing for like a tabletop game too. At some point you got to pick your character. Whether that's done at random, whether you make a character sheet, what have you. At some point you pick your character, and that's an app. Like no matter what else is going on, that is an app.
Yeah. And I think that we both agree, and we'll go into the reasonings behind this later in the stream, but I think we both agree that we prefer to run RPs that have more information in their apps than an appless RP or just a standard like who are you playing and then go forth.
Yep.
We're pretty app heavy.
We are. We are pretty app heavy, but I want to give some attention to appless role plays. So I think we should probably talk a little bit about what an appless role play is first before we get too into the different types. So when you see a role play that is appless or advertised as appless, typically what you've got is a situation where everyone is accepted. So in appless roleplay, what they're really saying is that there isn't much of an approval process. If you fill out the app correctly, you get in, and the app will be very short, very small, right? So the app will have something like the character's name, age, and like a few traits about that character, and that might be it and nothing else, right?
If
So it's
you're
very hard to fill out the application wrong. So
yeah,
basically everyone gets accepted.
yeah, exactly. And I don't even think it's about that like everything gets accepted. It's just there isn't a lot of requirement for upfront work,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right? Because you can have an RP, and we'll talk about this too, that is very app heavy that everyone gets accepted or
You could.
virtually everybody gets accepted. But it just might the application is basically just requiring you to do the amount of work of discovering your character and placing it in this world prior to actually starting writing.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
what Appless does is it basically just says, here's your character and go forth.
Yeah, like it shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes to fill out a application for an appless roleplay. They're very short.
Yeah. No, it's and we've seen it as short as like your name and your FC.
Yeah,
Um, and it can be as like intense as your name, FC, a little bit about your character, like that, or not even a little bit about your character, your age, and one line or whatever
could
about
be.
your character. I think that the idea of what Atlas does is it has this like intention that everybody is going to get in no matter what. That
Mm-hmm.
an application isn't an audition.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that a little bit because I am of the belief that applications aren't auditions inherently for
Yeah.
art, but some groups treat them that way.
Yeah,
So
we don't, and we'll talk about why.
yeah, and so Appless is really sitting there and saying, this is not an application. This is just information for you claiming a character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the different types of applications that are out there. There's also bio applications.
Yep.
So do you want to explain what bio applications are?
Yeah, sure. So bio applications kind of take it the other direction, right? Instead of it just being a very short thing that the player completely fills out and that the mod team doesn't really care about or have a say on, a bio application is where the mod team has the most control over the player characters, right? So if you think about this in terms of a tabletop role playing game, oh no, he got electrocuted. Please don't die, Malcolm. Uh oh.
Well, I mean, we do need him dead if she's going to be like the Black Widow of
I mean,
Sims.
eventually,
Although,
uh-oh,
oh
he started a
no!
fire. Uh-oh. It's okay.
Oh,
They have a fire alarm, so the fire truck will come. Why don't you
save the
get your
children?
kid,
Yes,
get your
save
kid
the
away?
children, please.
There we go. Good job, Malcolm.
Other than no, that great parenting 101. Okay, so
Okay,
this is why
he's
you're the
gonna try again. He's gonna try again to repair the computer.
he's. Oh my goodness. Aren't we rich enough to hire somebody to fix the computer? I
He,
thought
they
we were
really
still
don't
out
have
here.
they really don't have much money. They only have 1,000 simoleons.
That trust fund ran out real fast.
Yes, it did. They spent it all.
On building it, not even dream house, just building a house.
Yep. Yep. It's not even that great of a house yet. Okay. Anyways, what was I saying? Bio role plays. Okay, so bio role plays are where the mod team has the most control over the player's characters, right? So if you were thinking about this in terms of a tabletop role play game, you might imagine a game where the DM creates a bunch of character sheets and says, "Hey friends, here's all the different characters. Everybody pick one." Right? And that's basically what you're doing in a bio role play. So the mod team or the admin or whoever's responsible for it has written a bunch of histories or biographies about the different characters that they want in the role play. And then what players are going to do is they are going to kind of audition for these different roles. So this is where the idea of an application being an audition comes from, really is from bio role plays. It doesn't have to be that way. We're going to talk a little bit more about how like it really shouldn't be an audition. But with a bio role play, basically you're picking from a list of characters, and you want to, as the player, show the you want to show the mod team that you are the right person to role play this particular character. That's what you're trying to do when you fill out a bio role play. You're trying to read the bio, you're trying to figure out from there, like, okay, what does it seem like the mod team wants from this bio? And then in your application, display why you're going to write it that way.
Yeah. And this can look like anything from expanding the bio that's pre-written to, doing some sort of introspection personality sort of thing. So if you have a bio that is events, then what kind of character personality is attached to that?
I've
Or
seen also like a list of questions. Like
yeah,
it's like, like for a Harry Potter roleplay, since we're on the Harry Potter train, we'll do that. Like they might have a bio, and then in the application you have to say like what kind of wand this character would use, what house were they in school, what did they see in the mirror of Erised, etc., etc., etc. Right? So it might be something like that.
to show that you have thought deeper than, hey, I connect to this bio. Let me just say I'm going to do this. Like you're putting in a little bit of work. Then also to the extreme of asking for writing samples. And we've seen this in plenty of ways, writing samples that are in character, as well as writing samples that are out of character. They want to see what kind of RPer you are, your writing style. So you might have to choose a character that you've previously played that might be close to the style that you're trying to write with this character, or to show that you've kind of become one with this character. Write a quick one shot, quote unquote, or self para about this character's background at some point in their history. So they can see then how you're going to interpret these things that you say you're going to put into this character that's already been pre-made.
Yep. Yep. And this is really, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think this is really like the only time where I'm kind of in favor of having a writing sample. Otherwise, I really don't think writing samples are useful for roleplay applications because, again, it's not an audition. And I am of the belief that a self-para, like writing a passage by yourself, is not the same as role-playing. And you can't tell from reading, like, a couple paragraphs that somebody wrote if they're going to be a good role player or not. Like, I mean, you can't. It's just a different mode of writing. It's a different type of thing. You can't know. And so I really believe that the only time that it's appropriate to do a writing sample in an application is when you've got a bio role play where the applicant has not written the whole history of the character. You've written a significant portion of that character's history as a mod team already, and you just want to make sure that the applicants connect with that particular character that you have gotten started, that you already have ideas in your head of how you want that character to go, right? So this is the only type where I recommend like the mod team actually have a writing sample request on the application.
Yeah, I agree with that. We have seen RPs that have writing sample requests, like for different kinds of applications and not to serve this purpose. Again, I think that those, except for this particular showing that you have thought about this character and can write this character, or how you're going to write this character, I think how writing samples have been used is to prove that you're good enough.
Yeah.
Or you're of standard to be in the group. So we've seen RPs, like I'm thinking of our Once Upon a Time RP that happened, that we asked people, or not you and I, but the mod team there asked people to write to show that, they are capable of the certain literary standard that we are looking for, which is silly because you're absolutely right. A self-para, a one-shot is very, very different to back and forth RPing. you also don't know how long and how much effort someone took into making that.
Yep.
When you're able to control all of the things on the table, it's very, very different than the ideas you might get when you're doing the co-writing that RP comes with. You don't have that necessarily that improv. You're making it all up in your head. But
Yep.
they're very hard to compare, but yet in the RP community they are compared.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. Writing samples, I think, are useful to show that you've done the work for a pre-made character. But I think that they're more successful. I think that you get more successful in as a mod team seeing people like adapting the bio or expanding upon the bio. You get a more realistic sense of the character than you would with one shot.
Yes. Which is part of why like we moved away from having bio role plays because the truth is, there's more players in the world than there are people that are going to be part of my mod team. And so therefore, this is the thing is no matter what myself and our mod team comes up with, what the players come up with is always going to be better. And so we just stopped doing bio role plays because it just didn't make any sense. It just didn't make any sense for us to continue to do that. Oh, there we go. Landon's got her baby bump.
Bye bye bye. I also think that that we changed our piece too. When we're doing Harry Potter and when we were doing Marauders, the characters weren't ours. There were already
Mm-hmm.
pre-made characters. We wanted a Lily. We wanted a Sirius. We wanted a
Mm-hmm.
Lucius Malfoy. And those characters have bios already written into them because there are things within canon that we know. And basically, the way that we were writing RP was canon up until we started writing.
Yep.
So those things still existed. Lucius Malfoy was still a Malfoy who went to school and was a Slytherin. So there's a bio right there for you. But what we really did ask for was to expand upon it then. And as we moved away from Harry Potter and fandom and started doing more OC or not even OC, original content for our RPs, there wasn't an excuse for that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Mm-hmm.
right, there's more creative ideas done by other players than what our mod team could come up with.
Yep. Now, that being said, there are definitely players that aren't going to want to make things from scratch. And so because we are aware of that and we want those players to feel welcome and be able to join as well, basically what we moved to instead of writing bios is we would write skeletons.
Yeah.
So I think we can talk a little bit about what a skeleton is. So when you've got a skeleton as far as your type that you're running, what that means is that the mod team has written a little bit, just a little short blurb about the character, and you're expected to expand on that in a way that really fleshes them out, right? So the mod team might write like 3 sentences total about the character, and that's it. Or they might just have like the name, the age, the job, and that's it. So you want to have something when you're doing a skeleton. The whole goal is not to communicate necessarily what you're looking for, although you can do some of that. But the goal really is to inspire somebody who might join.
I 110% agree. I also just need to comment how bad this couple is at playing catch.
They're not very athletic yet, but they both like
I mean,
fitness, so.
the athletic, he's an athlete. I would just like to remind everybody that Malcolm is an athlete and didn't catch the ball once. That's all.
Yeah, his fitness is still not that good. It could be better. So his fitness skill is only 2.
Not a good athlete is what I'm hearing.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, no, skeleton really takes the bio and breaks it down to its basic skeleton in order to inspire people. I also think what it does is it gives a variety of characters the mods want to see as well. So it not
Mm-hmm.
only inspires players who are coming in to write, but it also makes the opportunity to have fully fledged diversity within the kind of character types that we are looking for to exist.
Yep.
So if we feel that it's important to have a doctor in our town RP, we can put a skeleton of a town doctor.
Yep.
And that hints the fact that we need that, and also look if there's something pretty already made for you, but we're also not sold on this. So if you want to do a town doctor that's slightly different than this or very different than this, then you're welcome to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like some of the useful things that skeletons also came into play, and how you can utilize them as a mod team rather than just to inspire. They're also to help make sure that you have the variety of characters you want.
Yes, absolutely. And we've done this for diversity in lots of ways, not just in diversity of jobs, but if we know that the role play is going to be stacked with like mostly white characters or mostly male characters or this way or that way or whatever, then we can say, okay, well, we need to make some skeletons of some lady characters or some skeletons of some characters that are of different ethnicities, right? So, so we'll do that as a way to kind of communicate to players like that we do want these diverse characters in the role play, even though there's not as many as we would like to see at the moment, right? And these are all optional, right? Like this, applying for skeletons, when you run a skeleton RP, applying with one of the skeletons is optional. You always keep it open to OC as well. So you're not going to have like a set cast when you do a skeleton roleplay. It's pretty much always going to be skeleton plus OC, which we'll talk about OC next, but I just wanted to mention that so that the context of my comments made sense.
Yeah, and I think that we would argue, knowing how we've run our RPs, and I guess I'm speaking for you on this one too,
sure, that's fine.
like we've always been welcoming to OC. I know that there are certainly groups that aren't. But even when we were doing HP back in the Marauders day, originally we were open to OCs then.
Yep.
In that like that at least made sense in the world. Like we couldn't have Harry Potter's sister because Harry Potter was like, but we did encourage original characters to come in to the world. So I think that there's also space with bio to have OCs as well.
Absolutely, but I think bio is the type of roleplay that when OCs are not welcome, it's typically a bio roleplay.
That's very fair. Because bio people have control issues. What?
Yep. And if that's you, like, okay, I guess we can go back to this. If that's you, if you're a mod that's still working through some control issues that you've got, run a bio RP. Like, don't even try to pretend that you want other things. Just run the bio RP. You're going to be happier. Everybody else is going to be happier.
Alan, you're welcome to do it. You're going to have more success in a fandom than you are in original content RP. But there is nothing wrong with that. Go forth and do with blessing. But I do think with the skeleton, and the reason why we then don't ask for writing samples for skeleton RPs is because you see the thoughts and the ways that a player has built their character come out.
Because they have to finish the history. They have to add more than just the 3 sentences we wrote.
They've taken 3 or 4 sentences and made it 2 or 3 paragraphs. That's a long bio, but it certainly happened.
Yep.
Queen of long bios. No, and then we've taken, and then you see that. And then also for our apps with skeleton stuff too, we also ask for a personality section. So not only have we thought about the history, but then you thought about actively what is your character like. So these things happened to them, but we are not our history. We are made up of our history. So as characters, how does that contribute? And what do they look like? Are they sassy? Are they shy? Are they friendly? Do they hate everybody? Do they brood in the corner? Do they not talk? Like, tell me about their personality. And that also gives us another level of depth that we know our players had to think about in order to write this application.
Yep. Because we want to see basically a personality that connects with the history, that makes sense. Like, this is what this person has been through, so this is how they behave. Like, we want to see that through line, right? So that's why we have that personality section in there. I love that Thumper mentioned Leonie. Yeah, Leonie started out as a skeleton, and that's a wonderful, just Jane's character, one of Jane's characters that she likes to play a lot. Absolutely wonderful character.
Also, Semper, 99% of my character personalities are also that they're a mess. It's actually more like 80% mental illness, 20% batshit crazy. Two separate things.
Oh my
um,
gosh.
oh, that's a lie. There's some sliver of trauma in there too. It's fine.
Hmm. I mean, all the best roleplay characters are like that, really.
You have to. What is a protagonist if not deeply traumatized?
Not a roleplay protagonist, definitely.
Not a character in general. Like we this is something that we will continue to talk about. Spoilers for next week's Shadow and Bone um media episode. But if they are a main character, they're traumatized. Just in any
Probably.
YA or anything in general. If you can prove me wrong, awesome. But you can't prove me wrong because I'm
And
not wrong.
if they aren't traumatized, don't worry, the narrative will get them there.
Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, so we tend to, when we run role plays, we tend to run them as skeleton role plays where we write up a bunch of skeletons to inspire potential players, give them ideas about what we're looking for, make sure that they're aware of the sorts of things we think would be cool, that sort of stuff. Because players want to know that they want to have some kind of assurance that their ideas are going to be received well and with excitement, right? And a skeleton will do that because even if they don't apply with the skeleton, reading through the skeletons, they can see like, oh, they're interested in somebody with this role, or they're interested in somebody with this type of personality, or they're interested in these type of face claims, or blah 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 blah, whatever, right? So that's why we run typically skeleton role plays. And then in addition to skeletons, we also welcome OCs, and some role plays are all OC. Even Thumper, Landon, did you watch the Community Day VOD? It was me and Thumper and Jane mostly.
I
It was
did
so funny.
not.
You
Oh
need to go
no.
back. You need to go back and watch the segment where we played TKO.
Okay, I will. Here, non-toxic relationship. Oh my
Hmm.
gosh. That's yeah, okay. Is that on top? Every main character is traumatized, every relationship is toxic.
Yes.
Is that the summary? Oh
Hmm.
good. Because
You
I need the opposite shirt.
Here,
It's
toxic relationship.
it's fun. What? Fucked up
Yes.
dynamics? Never, not me. Please come here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, never, never ever.
Never,
Okay,
never. Did
so
we want to
that's
talk about OC apps since we're talking about um since we were talking about skeletons and how we write them?
yes. So
And
okay, so then what is an OC like application process type of role play, etc. look like then,
I
Landon?
think that because it goes hand in hand with skeletons, especially in RRPs, OC is basically no skeleton. It's come with your own ideas and your own character. And again, we've talked about that OCs can be based, they can be based on characters. So if I want to take Klaus Michelson from TVD and I want to put it in a sci-fi world, what would that look like?
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's in the fantasy modern world. What would he look like in a sci-fi spaceship world? I can do that, but he'd still be considered an OC because I would be making him original from scratch for this world.
Yeah.
And basically you then come up with all of it. So you're not going off of the idea that this RP needs a doctor. You're like, oh, what is necessary in this RP, or what do I, not even taking into consideration with the RP, what do I want to play?
Mm-hmm.
How do I think this character would fit into this world, and build it from there. So you're building all the same parts that a skeleton RP app would have, but you don't have the skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
You have to create it yourself, which I don't think is any less or more work than a skeleton app. It's just different.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is. Because I think
you
instead of
don't have.
focusing
Go ahead.
Oh, I think instead of focusing on on the skeleton that you've read and trying to add more to it, you're really heavily focusing on whatever of information is in the roleplay lore book about the world, right? So you're really just looking at, this is the whole world in its entirety. Let me find a missing puzzle piece and slot my character into that puzzle piece, right? That's what you're doing when you're doing an OC application.
Yeah, and it's I find that to be I tend to find that more fun. But I also recognize that I help write a ton of the skeletons. So inherently coming up with the ideas is something as a mod I'm used to doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the OC version of it, and I think that that allows for a lot more freedom, and I think it allows for people to be attracted to your RP.
Mm-hmm.
Again, when you have it open up to, hey, here are some ideas to inspire you, but if you're not inspired by any of these, go batshit crazy.
Yep. Because
Um,
role players, at the end of the day, for all of our shyness and awkwardness that we can have, a lot of us are also control freaks. We don't want nobody telling us what to write. We want to write it ourselves.
and I mean, like I said, there's nothing absolutely wrong that if you like bio RP, awesome. If you like to have that skeleton, it makes it nice to sit there and be like, oh man, I know exactly what's needed. I have this idea. Let's run with it. But
Mm-hmm.
also, if you just sit there and go, oh, I want to have a modern day mafia inspired version of Panic from Pain and Panic from Disney's The Hercules. How can I bring that in here? And how can I use this in the world? Then that's just like another fun way of character building that obviously takes a lot of thought and practice that really gets you closer to understanding that character, which
Yep.
at the end of the day is all apps should be doing,
Mm-hmm.
is making sure that the mods have an idea of the character that is coming in and that the player has an idea of how they're going to build this character.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, that's really what you're trying to do. From the player perspective, you're trying to show the mods like, this is how I believe this character will fit into this world you guys have put together. And then from the mod perspective, you're looking for what you think will fit in. Oh no, we lost Landon for a minute. Oh wait, she's back.
Sorry, I was listening. My computer wasn't plugged in, so I had to plug in my computer.
Uh-oh. Well, we don't want the computer to die, so that makes
As
sense.
posting the Zoom, no, we do not.
Oh my gosh, that would suck. So yeah, when you're no matter which type of application we're talking about, whether we're talking about Atlas, whether we're talking about, bio, skeleton, OC, any of it, really at the end of the day, what matters is that as the player, you're communicating to the mods how you believe your character fits into the role play, right?
Yeah, and I think we can also dig into this whole idea a little bit more too, as far as like the purpose of applications,
Mm-hmm.
because there are multiple perspectives of this. So yes, what we will preach, it is how you are communicating to the mods what and how you want to play. As mods, there are plenty of other reasons to have apps set up as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we want to talk
Um,
to mods a little bit then, as far as app setup.
talk about it.
Okay.
Um, I think I think an important thing is what an application does is also, sorry, my cat is looking at the roof out the window. So
Yeah, there's something on your roof.
the window's open, so he could have jumped onto the roof, which I was like, Sherlock, don't you freaking
Oh
dare.
no.
It's fine. No, so it sets the standard of expectation of what you expect from your players. How much thought, how much time, how much energy to get to know their characters. An appless RP means that like they don't necessarily have to think about how it fits into the world until they're already writing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad. That's not good. It's just a reality.
Yep.
If you have a very heavy application, several pages of lore-intensive questions, of bio building, of all of these things, it will take a lot of extra work. Which means that I also think it means that you're holding a standard for your players, but you're also holding a standard for yourself. If your application has a lot of rules and a lot of like questions about lore, you need to hold your players to that lore.
Yep. Yep. And it can be a challenge, right? Like I think it can be kind of a challenge. The more that you've got in your app, right? The more that you've got going on in your app, the more tends to be the more strict the role play is, right? So the less you've got in your app, the looser it is. Now, this isn't always true, but that tends to be what I see. And so that's the impression that you're giving off. The more that you've got going on in your app, the more people are going to like try to be very by the book, to the letter, impressive, et cetera, right? And the less you've got, the more they're going to be like, casual about it and not think anything's a big deal, right?
Exactly. And that's not good or bad. Like, we're not trying to say an impression or that there's a perfect sweet spot. There is for our mock team. Like, there's a certain level of hands-onness that we expect. We expect well thought out characters, but at the same time, like, we're not going to hold people hostage by what they've written in their apps.
Yeah. Characters change once you start writing them, whether you want them to or not.
Absolutely. And probably for good reasoning too, because sometimes like a lot of like, especially in RRPs, you don't have access to what is being written until after you've applied. We have a firewall, quote unquote, basically saying that until you've applied and been accepted, we can't read what's being written to protect ourselves.
Well, you get all the lore and you can talk to anybody that you want to, but you can't actually see the role play itself.
So
that's how we set ours up.
Like, yeah, and so I'm sure that there have been plenty of times where we have written where people have like watered down maybe the maliciousness of their characters in a story like Atlantis, which was our mob RP. Because they're like, oh, we don't want to write that, heavier, make it that bloodthirsty. Upon then reading what other people were writing, maybe their character is more bloodthirsty than they thought. That's natural change that you would have no idea how to predict until you saw it.
Yep. We've also seen vice versa, like people that kind of are like, well, I have ambitions to write this character that is, more evil and stuff. And then when it comes time to write it, they realize like, oh, actually, I'm not having a lot of fun writing evil. You know what I mean? Static Salamander, thank you for the follow. Static Salamander, by the way, is an art streamer and is incredibly talented. So I didn't even know you were here, honey. I'm going to go ahead and give you a shout out. There we go. Y'all go follow Static Salamander. Okay. Resume. Sorry.
No, I also think lurking. Thank you.
Yes.
I also think that there is a we've seen the opposite. Or we've seen like, hey, this is the trajectory I want to take my character. And then upon joining the RP or perhaps even interacting with one of the fellow players, they suddenly fall in love and maybe go a completely opposite way or a different path of the trajectory or the plot that you had thought of before. That's not a bad thing. That's natural. That's part of what makes RP interesting.
Yep, that emergent storytelling, right?
Yep. But it means that like you can't foresee that happening. Your app is going to be different than how you play your character.
Yep.
It's not a bad thing.
Yep, that's just kind of part of it.
But what it does do is I think sets a standard of how like this is what we expect from our players. This amount of depth and thought is what we expect from our players. And also this is what you can expect from the mods.
Yep.
Like we're going to ask for a lot of depth, then our lore is going to be deep. If we're going to ask for a lot of backstory, then that's going to come into play maybe in events or ways that we can, or the ways that we can make the RP exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I know that like with RPs that aren't necessarily ours, but that have been more heavy with mods, like being more involved in the ways that the main plots go, they take those character backstories into consideration when they throw curveballs in.
Yeah, and if you have a smaller group, you can really do that. So if you've got a small group, guarantee you, crazy stuff you put in that backstory, your mod and admin team is going to use it. I promise you.
More of a DM than necessarily a mod team, but
Yep.
those groups exist and can exist on those small levels. But that means that they might require more in-depth backstory than light backstory.
Mm-hmm.
And it really does set that standard of what to expect when you look at the app, which is why also I think it is an incredibly important thing to look at the application before you even consider applying.
Yep.
Because I have also run into this thing where it's like, oh, I put so much time and thought and energy into my character and coming up with my character, and I'm so excited for this, and then I find out all they need is one paragraph and my character's age. And then it's like, it's almost like a stop to the momentum, because it's like, oh, that isn't what I'm looking for. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just not my style.
Mm-hmm.
And the other is true, where people are like, I really just wanted to join this thing for fun, and now you're asking for 4 paragraphs about a character that I'm not even sure is going to stick around for a month.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep. So, in addition to reading everything else, I mean, we basically our team read everything, but reading the app is really critical. There's a lot communicated there simply based on the questions that the mod team is going to ask you.
Yeah.
Also, I think another purpose of applications is to ensure that each character is a bit different, right? Oh, wait, before we get to that point, we have a chance card. So during warm-ups, Malcolm notices that one of the starting players has forgotten her knee brace on the practice field. Without the brace, the first stringer? The first stringer will surely re-injure herself as a bench warmer. Malcolm could make a good impression by returning the brace to her, or he could hide the brace since he'd be next in line for her position, were she to be
Oh,
sidelined.
oh no.
Is he going to
Malcolm,
hide or return?
return the return the brace. Be a good
Return the
person.
brace?
You're a
Okay.
dad. Return the brace.
Oh, right. Oh no, he's fined. Okay, so Malcolm picks up the specialized knee brace and heads off to find the owner, but almost immediately the starting player returns from her prescribed brace-free stretching routine to retrieve it. Unable to find it, she notices the team's management, who immediately begins a search. The brace is found in Malcolm's locker, who had only placed it there for safekeeping until it could be returned, but Malcolm is fined $1,000. We don't have $1,000, so now we have $0. That's what you get for trying to be a good person, Malcolm. You shouldn't do that in the future.
Trying to show a good example.
Yeah, well. Those chance cards, it doesn't matter which one you pick. You can have negative or positive from either way. So there's not a good answer or a bad answer. They're just for fun.
It's
All right.
fine.
So another purpose of applications is to ensure diversity, right, with the character types. So if there's already a couple of characters that are of a similar type, then having the application gives you a chance to show the mod team how your character is different. So I'll give a tabletop example because I think that's a really easy way to understand this. If there's already 2 bards in the party, maybe making a bard isn't the best idea. Maybe you should make something else,
Okay,
right?
hear me out. Party of bards. Okay.
I mean, if you really
So,
want to go there.
no, anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So you want to feel special. Everybody that's role playing wants to feel special in some regard, right? So if you make a character that's very similar to another character that's already in the role play, you're going to make them feel less special. You're going to feel less special yourself. It's just not going to be a fun time for anybody. So part of the purpose of the app is writing out the character so that you can confirm for yourself and for the mod team that what you're doing with your character is different, right, than other characters that already exist in the role play.
I also think that this, on top of that, challenges the writer to make different characters than they already have.
Yes.
because that's another problem, is that it's not a problem. It's another thing that exists within RP, is that there might be a certain type that you are comfortable with writing, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls who like bad boys. I don't know, just coming off the top of my head.
Or toddlers that play in toilet water. Look at this.
Toddlers that play in toilet water.
I
Well,
can't believe it.
I'm so proud of this child.
And she's eating a grilled cheese sandwich, so she's not going to catch him.
Okay, well, I mean, mother of that's all I'm saying. But yes, no, I think this really, what was I saying? Oh yeah, being able to make different characters and make your characters all differently. It
Yeah.
lets mods keep track of the kind of characters that you have. And also what writing holes or habits that you might have that you might not have ever noticed before.
Yep. This is particularly critical if a role play allows you to create multiple characters within that one role play. Because we've experienced this before with certain players, like they want multiple characters because they want more opportunities for role play, right? So that makes sense. But then they make the same character 3 times. And it's like, okay, you can't do that.
Or, yeah, I mean, an example of one that is very, very common is powerful men, like just in general. One our peer player might have a multitude of very powerful men.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, the powerful men in your RP might be run by the same player. And that's not necessarily a dynamic that, as a mod, I would suggest getting into.
Yeah.
I think the power should be spread out through multiple different players.
Yeah, different. All the players should have as much opportunity to feel like their characters are powerful as they desire. But if all of the powerful roles get taken up by 1 or 2 players, then players are going to feel like that the role play is skewed towards that particular person that keeps applying for that same type of character over and over.
Yeah, I also think that it gives a nice little
Hey, Kay.
variety. Hi, Kay. It gives a nice little, like, it also lets you challenge what is power, right? So if there is like this man who, you have one character who is a powerful man who runs the casino, and then your second application is a powerful man that runs all the restaurants in town, you can sit there and be like, okay, if you want a powerful character that's a male, that's totally fine, but what are other ways this person can be powerful that are separate from how they're already powerful? And being able to do that and see that and track it through the applications shows, like, can really be a useful tool for your players to be able to sit there and say, no, you can have a different sort of character in your repertoire and still be powerful.
Absolutely.
And then again, also doing it on a whole RP wide. If you already have a powerful man who runs all the casinos and someone asks for a powerful man that's running all the casinos, it's like, well, you already got that, my dude.
Yeah, it exists already. Sorry.
So what are other ways that we can make this character powerful?
Yep.
What ways are they different from the existing character that they have now? Have you and that character or that person thought or plotted out different storylines? Like that application process really allows us to have multiple different stories without stepping on other people's toes.
Yep. Because in narrative role plays, and there's a lot of ways that narrative role plays overlap with just regular writing advice, and I think this is one of them. You know, a good piece of writing advice is when you're creating characters, it's asking the question of, do I need to make a new character, or do I already have a character that can do this action that the plot requires? Right? And if you already have a character that can do the action that the plot requires, then don't make a new character. There's no reason. And the same thing exists in roleplay. If you already have a character that's doing the thing, then don't let somebody apply for the same type of character, you know? Tell them, like, you know, this is the same as this other character. You need to change this. You need to change that. Whatever it is that they need to adjust. But I don't think it's appropriate in a roleplay to allow what are essentially carbon copy characters. Like if you wouldn't have these two characters existing if this was a book, then they both shouldn't exist in the role play, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's another tool in your repertoire to make sure and prevent this from happening, because it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just the reality of being a
Yeah,
mod.
people are going to have the same
So,
idea when they read your lore. It's just going to happen.
yeah, if someone is playing a really fun character that is getting a lot of attention, someone is going to like, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, try to copy that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Because they might want that attention, or they might really enjoy that plot, or they might have done it just slightly differently. But unfortunately, that slight difference is not enough to make it a different story arc.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, good, bad, or indifferent, copying and carbon copying is going to happen. And having apps to prevent that from happening, or asking and challenging your writers to think outside the box on, instead of carbon copying in a different color,
Mm-hmm.
then how can you do this? And this is just another tool of preventing that from happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and it also, like, overall it helps things be inspiring. It helps people feel like their characters are important by
Yeah.
having unique individual characters.
Yep.
It also helps having, apps really do help making sure that not all your characters are named James or Catherine or
Mm-hmm.
something with an A.
Well, I don't know why in some of our role plays, like people love names that start with A and then it starts to get really confusing because all the
Yeah.
character names start to kind of meld together in your head. We've literally had situations where we've had to say, all right, guys, no more characters with names that start with A. I'm so sorry, but we just got to chill because it's too many.
And there's also been times when we're doing applications, no more witches, no more
Yeah.
fire witches, no more vampires, no more. I mean, I think at one point we already said no more men, no more vampire men. like,
Mm-hmm.
like there's a lot going on. Yes, exactly. We had a lot of like the, hey, we're going to take a pause on building this kind of character.
Uh-huh.
And if you have an app, it means that it's just that much easier to do it. And if
Yep.
you have in-depth app that, like, that you use as a tool and not as a power trip, it's much easier to be able to have that be done.
Yeah, we did have a lot of J's in Atlantis. Another thing that this is just mention it because this happens in a lot of role plays. If there is the ability to make a stripper in your role play, you're going to have a gajillion strippers. It's just a fact. It's a fact of role play. So if that's a possible job,
Very few of them will actually write a stripping scene. It's really upsetting, actually. If you're gonna make a sex worker, at least include sex work in your character. That's all
that's
I'm
so
saying.
true. That's so true.
But there's a lot of societal expectations why people don't do that. Anyway, we won't get
Yeah, and
on that.
that's not what this stream is about. But just this another example of just something that you're going to end up seeing it over and over and over in the apps. So be aware and understand that you might have to place certain limits. The only limit that I would say that I would never try to place, and we did this in the past, and I regret it, and we would not do it in the future, is gender limits, right? Like I'm not a fan of saying like no more males, right? Or no more females. And the reason why is because a lot of times it comes from the idea of like, oh, well, shipping potential. It's like, well, the characters could be gay. Like, you don't freaking know.
Yeah. Also, it's been discussed in the mod chat, but it's something that we've never supported but have seen in other RPs. And that's stopping certain, like, putting a pause or a no more of this allowed on certain plots
Yeah.
within the app. So age gaps came up in one of our things, that there was a recommendation of stopping age gaps, and it's like, well, no, we wouldn't use the app system to stop that reasoning.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So really it is like, I would say like jobs or character traits or
Mm-hmm.
certain character tropes, not character plots, not anything like that. None of that is necessarily a stoppable reason or something to like put a pause on for your entire RP, to put in your app and say, we're not accepting this at any time. It's going to be character traits, no vampire males because we already have 50 of them. Um,
Yep. Like if you want to make a
no,
dude, please don't make a vampire or something like that, you know?
no fire witches. Air is as cool as fire. Like do better. Um, all of
Yep.
that. So I think that all comes down to things that you can control with an application system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the last thing that what the purpose of an app does is it makes sure that the characters are thought out to the expectation that the mods want them thought out as.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by this is that if there is like contradictions or things that need to be changed or the lore isn't quite understood, apps give a great space to be able to see where those missing marks are for the players. So if
Mm-hmm.
someone doesn't understand how vampires are made, that comes out in the vampire app rather than rather than them then stating it in the RP and then that becoming fact.
Yeah, and then it's awkward, and then it's awkward to try to correct them, and you have to have the conversation of do we even want to correct them? What's the value in correcting them? Da 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 da, and it becomes like a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
It's much easier to catch it in the application process. So it does ensure that because once you have to write an actual character, it ensures a lot more that you probably understood the lore that you read.
Yes. And if you don't, what this really does is it gives a great platform for like mods to review the application and then come back with suggestions, which
Yep.
is our next topic if you want to start into it, unless you had more to say about.
No, this is good. Okay, so we're into the second half of the stream now, and during the second half, we wanted to talk about application review processes, accepting applications, denying applications, what that means. So before we get started in that too much, I've got a couple things that I just want to say about our personal philosophy, right? So we don't deny applications. And by that, I don't mean like that we never deny applications. We have had situations where we've had to deny applications. But in general, it's our policy to, when we read a bad app, that telling someone no thank you is not the response that we have. What we do instead when we're looking at an application that's bad, right? It's not what we're looking for, is as a mod team, we'll have a couple of us read it at least. It doesn't have to be all the mods, but at least a few mods read it and give notes like, okay, this thing here doesn't make any sense, or I don't like this, or this is too similar to what this other character is, or whatever. Like what all these things that we've talked about so far, we'll like make a list of essentially all of those things. And we go to the applicant and we say, hey, for your application, to be accepted, we need this, 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 and this changed, right? And Landon, if you want to expand on that too, because I mean, you've been a part of this process for years and years and years. But that's basically how we quote unquote deny apps. Like we don't, we
Yeah,
just give notes.
we I think that we really took into consideration the idea that an application is asking permission to join the club.
Mm-hmm.
And we are not looking at people to ask permission to prove that they are good enough to join the club.
Yeah.
We go under the basic assumption that you are good enough to join the club because you exist.
Yeah.
And there is, in order to get the most out of your game here, this is what we expect from you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily like a bit, like it's not even like even if they fill it out half-assed, we have had plenty of people fill out our applications with the absolute bare minimum and have accepted them.
Mm-hmm.
It is not our job to like really judge what exists inside the app or what your character's history is. Like we're not here. We don't have to like what you're doing with it. We just have to make sure that it meets the standards that we are looking for. And those
Right.
standards don't have to do with necessarily spelling, grammar, anything like that. It has to do with, or even like figurative language or metaphor. It has to do with does it follow our lore and is it unique to what's going on?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. So we don't really see applications like an audition. We see it a lot more like if you think about like a club in real life, right? Like if you were to join some kind of club in real life, what gets you to stay in that club is literally just showing up and paying your dues. And just and not being a jerk, of course. But beyond that, there's no requirement, right? Like if you were to join like a knitting club, I don't know, right, in real life or something, any kind of club really, it would just be to come to the meetings and pay your dues and not be a jerk, right? You don't actually have to engage in the activity regularly or even well, right? You just have to try, right? And be there. And that's what we really think of when we think of the role play too. Like we don't think of it as this audition where you're proving if you're good enough. We're really literally just looking for if you understood the lore and if you are bringing something unique. Like literally that's it. I'm happy to correct typos in applications. It's totally fine. If you can write coherent sentences that we understand, then we're good. Like I'll give an example. Plenty of applicants we've had where they can't spell, but it's not, we still understand what they're trying to say, but the spelling is awful.
And even then,
it's fine.
we have at times sat there and was like, if something isn't coherent, we haven't then responded with, hey, no, we're denying your application. We respond with, we don't understand what's happening. Can you please take a second look to make sure that you can understand what your point is, because we don't.
Yeah.
Or clarify this section if this particular section is, obviously two sentences coming together that don't make any sense. Like we've
we'll just ask them to explain.
We ask them to explain. We ask them to expand upon it. We ask them for all those things. But the only time I can think that we have outright denied application to someone coming into the RP is if they are ELL, English language learner.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not quite at the level of being able to write full sentences.
Yeah. And it's not even necessarily for RP purposes. Like their RP could be bad, but if they can't even do English well enough to communicate out of character, then unfortunately we have to deny them because if they can't communicate out of character, they're never going to be able to role play.
They're not going to be successful in our RP, which tend to be more on the literate side. It's a combination, but it tends to be more one or two paragraphs, and then constant talk in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very active out of character chat happening, and if we know that we're setting up people to fail if they aren't able to engage with those two things.
Mm-hmm.
And even then we won't straight up deny. We'll just suggest that, be like, hey, this might not be the RP for you yet.
Yeah. The only time that I can think of that we straight up have told somebody like, no, this is not negotiable, period, end of story, is they made like that horrible of a first impression.
Oh, can I give an example? They didn't stick. We had a Disney RP, and someone asked to play Hitler Mickey Mouse.
This is the same story I was thinking of. Okay, so
sorry, I didn't mean to steal it.
No, you're good, because this is exactly what I was thinking of too. Okay, so this like literally happened. Somebody joined our role play and was basically like, do you guys have restrictions on the types of plots people are allowed to write? And we're like, no, we really don't. We don't do that sort of thing. You can write whatever you want. Just read the lore so you can see what kind of stuff other people are doing here. So you can catch the vibe and then fill out an app. And they were like, okay, well, am I allowed to play Hitler? And I was like, this is a Disney role play. Because I was like so shocked they even asked that, okay? I was like, this is a Disney role play. And they were like, okay, well, can I play Mickey Mouse as Hitler? And I was like, what? And this was a back and forth, like I'm shortening it, right? But this was a 20-minute back and forth of them trying to convince us of this Hitler Mickey idea. And it was like so uncomfortable, y'all. It was like the most uncomfortable thing I have ever seen. And here's the crazy part. is if they had just been like, okay, cool, I've got a dark idea, I'm gonna write the app, y'all tell me if it's too dark, and just written it, you know what? I bet we would have accepted it.
If
Like,
they
we
could have,
probably would have.
if we could have proven that if they could have proven that they could successfully write this and also not been anti-Semitic in the chat,
Yeah!
and it's proven that this is purely a character choice, I think a Hitler slash racist Mickey Mouse X inspired X character would have been a hoot for the RP. But they obviously couldn't. They were a
No, but
troll.
they were like trying to get their character approved before they even wrote the app, basically, and
Yeah,
that plus the person, just the things that they said just being so ridiculously
yeah.
uncomfortable. We were just like, dude, you need to leave. This is not the RP for you. And I think I ended up kicking them, and thank God they didn't come back. We didn't ban them or anything, but it was just like the most uncomfortable 20-minute conversation I've ever had with a potential applicant. It was ridiculous.
All in
Anyway,
like,
that's the only time I can think of that we literally straight up told someone, no,
um,
there's no way you can convince us we're done.
we had a person be fairly dark humor in the chat before they
Hmm.
applied. That they very much turned the entire RP against them. That if they
Yeah.
had gotten to the point of applying, we would have said no. We
Yeah.
did talk about that as an admin team because it wasn't dark humor; it was racist and sexist humor.
Yeah, they were being like really rude for no reason.
Yeah, and they said some things, and then like very dog whistly, and then we were just like it was just shut down, basically being like, "You're not
Yeah, we
funny."
didn't have to say anything. I remember that situation. We didn't have to say anything. A bunch of the other people that had been in the role play for a minute were like, dude, no, shut up. Like,
Yeah,
you're not funny. And they're like, y'all don't appreciate my sense of humor. And I think someone literally replied, because you're not funny.
yeah, yeah.
And so then they never applied, and it was never a problem.
And they left, and it was never a problem. But we were talking in the admin chat that if they had applied, we would most likely deny them simply because they had turned the entire RP against them. And at this point, there was no coming back from it.
Yeah.
Like it
I
didn't
mean, they
matter if you
basically made like three-fourths of the role play mad enough to voice that they dislike this person.
yeah. So and then that's like directly denying quote unquote outright before apps. And the only time that we really denied characters that have like for people who have already been a part of the RP, so second or third characters,
Hmm.
is that those characters are too alike from the first character.
Hmm.
So, again, a blonde stripper or a powerful man vampire. Like if you're applying for that same exact character, we have at times sat there and said, this idea will not work. If you would like to continue to talk about how to expand it or adapt it into something that can work, we can talk about that. But no, you are not going to have another blonde stripper or another male mafia boss.
Yeah, we've had the conversation with players before where it's like, I can't tell this face claim apart from your other face claim. And they might feel like we're denying their app. We're not trying to deny the app. We're just saying that this aspect of your idea is not sustainable, right? And if you want to have a second character, you totally can, but they can't. This concept isn't going to work. You might be able to take this piece and this piece from the concept, but overall, it's not going to happen because this is identical to this other thing you're already doing.
Yeah. So it's exactly that idea that applications are not auditions and we give excessive feedback, or
Hmm.
sometimes what I feel is excessive feedback for when we're asking players to correct in a good way, asking players to correct or change something about their application. And this
Hmm.
is just a one-time thing. What is like someone working on an application for 2+ weeks,
Hmm.
like daily.
Yeah, we've had people write like 4 or 5 drafts of an application.
uh, and still gladly will read it, gladly will then give feedback, we'll talk about it, we'll have conversations, all of those things that are involved with being a mod, reviewing applications. but just goes to show that there isn't an end. We won't deny. We're just sitting there and being like, these are the standards and the things that need to make sense in our world. And we're not trying to make it difficult for you. This is literally, everyone has to check these boxes.
Yep.
And we will try to get you to check these boxes, and we will try to help you as best we can.
Yep. It's outside of writing the app for them.
There have been a couple times where it's been like, what about this idea? And I'm basically writing the app for them.
Yeah. I mean, they still have to put it down, but there's been people that have gone like point by point through their character ideas, asking us what we think.
Gladly we'll do it, because we know how we expect our applications and build our characters to be. We know that it's a lot sometimes for some people, but that is the standard that we want, and that is the expectation. So really, like that working through things and sitting there and making a list of things that are not wrong, but things that we want to see improvement in.
Yep.
Or even clarification. And that can go from, hey, the most common one, we will get several younger women writing women characters who will have accomplished and be the best at their fields by the age of 22.
Yeah. Man, I wish.
Man, that would be so nice. I started college when I was 21. That'd be dope as fuck, right? 22 is the best in the world. But that's not how it works. And we want that sense of age and success to meet. Absolutely cool with young prodigy stuff, but if you cured cancer and also learned how to make dogs talk in English, and also dated several people and all of these things, you're not going to be 21.
Yeah. Well, it's just there's got to be enough time to have done it, right? Like, totally cool with a child prodigy, right? But pick the specific thing that they've been working on since birth. Don't tell me that your 22-year-old has 2 master's degrees. No, they don't. I don't care how smart they are. There's not enough time for them to have done that in their life.
They're not a doctor by 21. Like, that just like you're not even allowed to apply to be a doctor before that, I feel. And then you still have residency and all of these things. Like, we have to keep it in some semblance of reality. And I think, again, there's a lot of things that come with why that is. It is very common, but that is something that we stick to, and we will sit there and be like, you need to age this character up. I know you want to play a 21-year-old because you're 16 or 18 and 21 seems like ancient, but I'm telling you, 21, 25 is not ancient in the way of the world.
It's really not. Thank you so much for the hosts, Sonic and Kayla. They're back again. They were here. They did some hosts for us last week, I think. Thank you guys.
You guys are so
all right. But yeah, that happens. I feel like a lot of younger role players, they're like, well, I can't play someone older, but I want to play someone accomplished. Well, it takes time to get to be accomplished. So that is something that we see a lot, and we've definitely given plenty of times feedback of like, we're happy to accept this character if you make them 27. And then you don't have to change anything else, just make them 27 and then we'll accept them, right? Or things like that, right? Oh, your kid's totally a hipster.
I love it. The only
like, look at him. He's got the blonde hair you can see from under his beanie, but he's wearing the beanie.
Listen, I've raised my children right, and mostly because I've been in my underwear the entire time.
The best way to be.
The best way to be. No, and I think that I lost it. I had a great thought and then I lost it. I'm talking about hipster children.
Oh, I think what were we saying before?
Someone in the chat help us.
Yeah, someone in the chat help us. What were we saying before so Landon can collect her thought again? I know we were talking more about our review process and no, you did not ruin it, Katie. No. That was a good comment and you're right.
Please talk to me. Please talk to us. I love it.
Yeah. No, we were talking about like our review process and how we don't deny apps. I know that's what the topic that we were on.
Yeah, literally there have been times where it's like, just change this person's age. We don't even care if the FC is not old enough to be that age. Just change the age.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was it.
21 to 27. Sometimes that is our feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes it like, because we really want and focus on an aspect of realism in our RPs, that we want things to be realistic to an extent. So even if
Yeah.
it's fantasy, even if it's a thing, it's like, yeah, if you cured cancer, you're not 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
just
Yeah,
not.
I mean, I think like it just depends on what your comfort level is. Like there are other things that I'm happy to hand wave and say like, well, I don't really care. This isn't realistic, but whatever. But the older I get, the more I get sensitive to characters that are like accomplished everything by age 21, and I'm sorry, I'm 34 and I can't stand that anymore. There was a time where I was like, whatever, I don't care. This is stupid, but whatever, we're gonna accept it anyway. But I can't anymore.
And
Um,
as mods, we all have those control issues.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah,
you just as a mod team, you just have to think about like what's important to you. What pieces are do you think are integral to the RP being the way that you want it to be? And I want RPs to always be very welcoming to older role players because I am an older role player, right? So that's where the particular things that I value on the apps as far as what should be realistic versus what can be hand waved comes from.
um, yes. Another part of our review process is, I think, directly to mods,
Mm-hmm.
is that yes, we've talked about that when we're making decisions for applications, there is a mod consensus. So if you are 5 mods, that at least 3 mods have read the app and agree with an aspect of, hey, this app is good, this issue needs to be worked on, this thing needs clarification. Like 3 people have to agree out of the 5. But I
Uh-oh, she having her baby.
oh,
Yeah, so we always have three
there's
out of
a
five
right
agreements.
there in the middle of the lawn. Oh, good.
In her underwear.
Her underwear
Great.
with her neighbors watching. I love
Mm-hmm.
the reputation that she has set for. What is
Which
it?
last name? I
Oh,
miss
Ooh,
last name. Okay, so if
Aja
it's a girl, it's going to be Lily. I can't remember what the boy name
give
was.
me a Lily, Kronk.
That's right, Kronk.
Give me a Lily.
Crème
Not because I
Latige.
hate boys, but also because Lily Connor. Why?
Thank you, Katie. Yes, Kronk.
Oh, nouveau fajon fatigue.
Another blonde.
Another. I mean,
Okay, it's a girl, so we're going with Lily.
Lily. Lily, Lily, Lily.
Okay, so we've got Tormund and Lily.
Tormund and Lily. I love it. And
Aww.
Malcolm worked so hard going back inside.
At least he was there for her.
At least he was. Good husband, I suppose.
Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job.
But yeah, and then on top of that, making sure that even if they aren't part of the other mods are not part of the conversation, that they're reading and giving feedback.
Mm-hmm.
There have been a couple times where like 3 of us have read it and sat there and was like, this is good, or this one part needs clarification. And then another mod's come back that was not part of that consensus and was like, yo, also that age though.
Yeah, they'll be like, actually, I hate this part, and we're like, shoot, we didn't even think of that. Do we care? And like, then it's like, oh well, now we have to have the whole conversation because we didn't even think about that.
And like I also think that there is I also think that, and maybe this is a me thing, I think that it's really easy for players to not read bios
Mm-hmm.
unless they have to.
Mm-hmm.
Your mods should not be those people. Which
Mm-hmm.
means that I think, like, as part of the mod team, it is yes, mods work on different things. People have different jobs. People might respond more things on one thing more than others, but it is part of a mod's job to read those applications and review and give feedback.
Yep.
That's part of the process, and I think that's something that we highlight as important.
Absolutely. It's definitely important from my perspective. Players aren't required to do everything that mods are required to do, and reading bios is one of them. Now, a lot of our players, of course, do read the bios of every new character that comes in, and that's great and that's wonderful, but it's not required.
And we can tell. No.
Well, sometimes we can't, it really just depends on what that person's style is.
don't get me wrong, when I join an RP, there have been times where I've not read the bios until I've interacted with that character. Or I've skimmed the bios when I'm creating a character. I understand it, I get it, I hear it, it's fine. However, as part of the mod team, it should be something that is highlighted. There should not be one person responsible or only two people responsible for the bios.
Yeah.
It needs to be a
Yeah,
moment.
basically.
So yeah. That's kind of a review process, is that an app gets submitted, at least 3 out of 5, or at least a majority of the mods read it, decide whether there is something that needs feedback or something that doesn't, or it goes through. It is then one mod's job to give feedback, to have those conversations with that person, and to work with that person through another app. If they rewrite an app, then it comes through and you need to reread it and make sure that it makes sense in entirety, because sometimes people will change. When you've asked them to change one thing, they'll change 3, and sometimes one of those 3 won't make sense.
Yeah. It's like, wait, how can you do that? Because there's this other part of your app, and they're like, oh shoot, I forgot about that part.
Fine, okay. You don't have to change that. But if you got inspired, then cool. And you do that until there aren't any questions, and then that person gets accepted.
Yep.
Or that
Pretty
character,
much.
not the person, the character gets.
Well, the character, yeah.
That's an important thing, because, again, as a player and as a mod, this is not an audition process.
Yeah.
It is an application for a character. It is not an audition.
Yep, and that's how we view it, and I find that to be the healthiest way. It's the way that's worked the best for us. I know other role plays do things differently, and there's reasons for that, but I've never seen those situations actually pan out to create a better role play, right? And everything we do with our application process, everything that we've told you guys so far, is based on trial and error of things that we have done and changed and tried and gotten, right or wrong, until we get to the point of like, oh, this actually kind of works, so we're going to keep doing this for a while, until it doesn't work anymore. So that's basically our method that we've gone with this whole time. And one other quick thing I would like to say to add to what Landon was saying about like how we have the 3 mods review it, and that every mod should read all the bios, right? Even though we know the players don't read all the bios, and that's fine. I have seen definitely some role plays where there's like an application mod, and it's their job to review and approve applications. And as far as like mods coming into the cafe and talking about how do I deal with burnout, I'm not getting the help that I need, a lot of those complaints come from the quote unquote application mod. Reading and reviewing and approving applications, for whatever reason, leads to more burnout than other mod tasks. So just that's anecdotal based on what I've seen. I would never have reading applications be the job of specific mods. It's everybody's job for that reason. It's just what I've seen. It contributes to more burnout than other, mod roles, as it were.
I agree.
Yep.
And yeah, it's also like, if it's hard to then delegate that, like if no one knows how to read apps or what to look for in apps, if that one person is not available to do that job, then it's incredibly difficult to then be like, to like try to pick that up for somebody else.
Uh-huh. Yep. Like, oh, this person's out of town for a week and they're not going to be at their computer. And so this new person's going to read apps, and their method of deciding what's good and what's not is like totally different. And it's like, that's not good.
Or Landon isn't having a good couple of days and needs to take a breather. So does everyone just wait? Or does that then fall on the admin to accept new apps and everything like that? No, it should be an entire group decision. Also, the handy dandy thing that if you read enough apps, you learn how to tell certain signs. There's like a secret language when reading apps.
Yep.
As jokingly and lovingly, There are times when we can predict down to the day how long a player is going to stay.
And if you've been a mod for a long time in role plays, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You do it for a few years and you run your type of role play, you know who your type of player is for a little while. You just kind of know. Like, okay, it just happens. You know who's going to stick, you know who's going to be popular. You just know. So don't ask me like how I'm so sure that you just know, but if you run role plays, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You
I
just know.
I am telling you to the day.
Yeah.
There have been multiple times where we'll be like, June 29th will be the day that this person stops.
Well, maybe not like that. Maybe not like that. But we'll say things like this person will last to the first activity check and that'll be it. Or we'll say like this person will last to the first event and then they'll leave and that'll be it. You know, that's really what ends up happening. If you run role plays, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Person will never start.
Or this person will only chat out of character and they'll literally never write a starter for anybody. And they'll just hang out for a few weeks and then when we ask them about why they never started role playing, they'll just leave.
The hardest thing about this is that you have to be objective with that information.
Mm-hmm.
There have been multiple times where I am on a fourth or fifth draft of an application, knowing full well that this person will never write or respond to a starter.
Yep.
That this person will disappear in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And knowing that and still having to do it because it's part of the job.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't, like, again, it's not an application. It's not a if this person is good enough or not. This person might surprise you. They might not. You still need to give the dedicated amount of time and energy that they have asked for you to give in order to get them to the point that they then get to make that decision themselves.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, you
part
don't want to take, like, again, role players, we can be real control freaks. You don't want to take the decision away from your player when it's not necessary. And the application process is just a place where it's not necessary. I have never seen a role play benefit from denying apps because they can tell that this person's not going to stick, right? All that really does, in my experience, is demoralize the rest of the role play. It makes your other players can see you doing that. They understand what's happening. Regardless of whether you tell them or not, they can just kind of tell by what goes on in the chat and what these people say, right? They get a sense of that. And then they feel like, well, oh gosh, what if mine is denied? Oh, another fire. That's lovely. Everybody wake up. Malcolm started another fire.
I'm so glad that Malcolm is a pyromaniac. It's a lot. And
he was just trying to make mac and cheese. Okay.
It's useless and it's fine. Did he even go get the children? There's a fire. Did you not care, sir?
Nope. It's okay. The firefighters got here quick enough. And the baby didn't even wake up, so that's great.
The most ridiculous thing to ever happen in Sims, that there's a fire and the baby never woke up, because it's probably true. Babies, fires.
Yep, Lily's just asleep. It's fine. Tormund woke up, though, but it's time to play computer games, I guess. Katie's right. There's literally a fire while we're talking about allegorical social fires. Yeah, so in my experience, denying apps because of reasons that are like, I don't think this person is going to stick, or I don't think anyone's going to get along with this person, or I don't think this character is going to be popular, or I just don't like this, that, or the other. I have never seen that go well. All that does is cause issues with the existing players.
Oh my god, it so doesn't. And then, you never get the opportunity, because I will sit there and I'll be the first one to admit that I was also wrong. Mm-hmm. There have been players that I'm like, oh, this person, this is a great character, and this person will never be able to make this character, or this is not a great character, they'll never be able to make this character interesting. And then they do.
Yeah, and then the character's like banging awesome and everybody loves them. And we were just straight up wrong.
or something. Like, it's not my place. And as much as I can predict because of how long I've been in this, or how much I can assume because of the patterns that I've seen, I will never actually be able to tell the future as much as I want to. Because things surprise you all the time. People may suck at apps. There are certainly some people that suck at apps.
Yep.
And hell, like also, like, and not to give away behind the scenes, but we were talking about Leo earlier. Leo, the character in the application, so different than Leo in the RP. Not saying that one, like, I felt one way or the other, but it's again that example of being like so completely different than how you write them in an app versus how you write them when storytelling.
Solo writing and roleplay are two different things.
Yeah, and bio, and we have to remember that bio is still solo writing.
Yep.
It is probably the most solo writing that there is because you're creating a character by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It is like this incredibly different. Yeah, it's mind blowing, and we can't. It is not our job to judge that, even though there is a predisposition to, because we are experts in some way. We've read enough apps to be. And it's those moments that are also magical to sit there and be like, hey, I'm not sure how successful this character is going to be. And then to find out that they're the badass bitch of the RP. Like,
yeah. And that's happened.
I have eaten my words many a time. Which is why I've learned the rule of it's important not to judge off of my personal feelings for these things. You have to be able to set aside and be like, cool, this character needs to be given a chance, and how do we have it tick these boxes? And these boxes have nothing to do with character attributes and simply have to do with finding making sure that it makes sense within the world.
Yep. The only thing that has to do with character attributes is making sure they're not duplicating something someone else is doing. Yeah, that's it.
Which is a whole different thing.
Yep. And I mean, we've been wrong in the other direction too. I can think of situations where we were like, this character's awesome and this player's awesome and they're asking all the right questions and all this, it's great. And then they get in the role play and then they just don't. That's happened too.
Give up. Absolutely. And like at the end of the day, this is just the reality is that yes, we can predict, but we can't truly predict.
Yep.
And it's okay to be wrong. That's what we're saying, is that we have been wrong before and it's okay.
Yeah. And you don't want and I think the worst situation, like, it's annoying to spend a bunch of time with somebody rewriting their app and rewriting their app and rewriting their app and then have them leave. Like, that is annoying. Like, I want to acknowledge that. You're as a mod, you're in the hobby to have fun too, right? So it's annoying. But what's worse is letting someone good go that could have been awesome because you just happened to predict wrong about what their level of roleplay was.
Yeah, and if you're going to go through with that judgment first, you may never meet some of the best people you've ever written with.
Yeah, you might miss out for sure, and it would really suck for that. So the way, and this really goes back, so all of this philosophy about the apps and stuff and how we view ourselves really goes back to us constantly reminding ourselves that role play is a hobby and a social club, right? It's not a job, okay? It's not like, some kind of skilled tier thing like you might have in like a shooter or a MOBA video game, right? That's not what it is. It is a fun social club, and anything that tries to make it more than that, and tries to impose that on others. Like, if you yourself want to get better, I think that's wonderful. But trying to impose that on others or institute a system that's like that, I think you lose something. You lose a lot of the silliness that comes from the desire to do emergent storytelling that we do in role plays.
Yeah. And the app is a tool to be able to set the mod team up for as much success to build a world that you're able to do this emergent storytelling. But it is not as much a tool to the player to be able to do that too.
Yeah. It's both.
In mind. So, did you have any other thoughts on apps?
No, I think this is good. As I said, if you guys are interested in more on this, I have a couple of different episodes of Spare Room that you're welcome to go find. And if you go into the mod playlist, you'll find it there. But yeah, I think at this point we've covered what we wanted to cover. Are we ready for the article, or is there anything else you wanted to add, Landon?
I'm good. I think that that was it for me.
Okay, I'm gonna
Um,
go ahead and save. Then we're gonna save and quit. So we did have our spare today. So we've got Tormund and Lily. What that means is that the next time that we stream Sims, the Kill a Sim option will be available in the channel points. Because now, if we want Malcolm to die, he can. He has served his purpose. He doesn't have to stay in the household any longer. Now it is going to be very expensive. But get ready for that next time. And the reason
I'm
why is because if we can get him to level 5 in his career, then we'll get a little reward for that I want to unlock. But if y'all want to kill him, go for it, and we'll try to kill him.
I'm just saying that the trust fund has worn out. That's all.
It did, and now that we've had the 2 kids, so I mean,
We have an heir and a spare.
yep, we have an heir and a spare. We have an heir and a spare, so we don't have to have him anymore if y'all don't want to keep him around.
Just in case you were ever wondering what it's like to write with me, it's like this, me constantly being like, but we could kill them.
We could.
All
We
right,
could.
ready for the article?
I am ready. Hit me.
All right, this is definitely not as researched as I would like to say this, but it was just too good to resist. So,
Oh, okay.
coffee
Here we go.
is
Coffee. This is great. So coffee is now linked to reduced risk of many ailments, including liver disease, Parkinson's, melanoma, and even suicide. That's
It mentions
great.
all the other things in here too, including cancer and obesity.
I
So
mean, why not? Why
what I'm
not?
hearing is that coffee saves lives, and if you want some coffee, we know where you can get some.
Coffee can do anything.
Coffee can do anything. There's a link in case anyone just wants to remember that. So basically, this is what's saying is that there is a lot of the BBC and some places in Europe or UK, specifically in Southampton and Edinburgh, published a article that basically says that coffee has led to the reduce of risking these and getting these diseases such as liver disease with only if you drink 3 or 4 cups a day. Any more than that, you start risking it. But like definitely with any kind of coffee, so instant, carbonated, decaffeinated, and basically there was like less chance of people getting liver disease,
Hmm.
and especially chronic kind, which is great. Uh, and that basically this is new to what was said in 1991, which was basically saying that coffee was bad for you, but that this proves like this is proof in the other direction that it actually might have good effects for your body rather than like negative carcinogenic.
Okay, so let's use our troubleshooting and problem solving skills. Considering all the data that we have, there is probably correlation here, but not causation. I doubt that it's the coffee that's actually reducing the risks here, but there probably is some kind of correlation with people that tend to have a cup or 2 of coffee in the morning with overall more stable, happy, healthy lifestyles.
Now there is a little bit more numbers in the depression in the depression risk. That was like they, instead of doing just 3,000 tests, they did like over 250,000 people took a survey. But I also would like to say that addiction, when you are getting your vice like caffeine, tends to improve your mood then rather when you're not getting your addiction such as caffeine tends to lower it. So there
Uh-huh.
could be some there too. But
Hmm.
like I said, we're sponsored by a coffee person. So
Yes.
might as well. Harvard says that it can help prevent type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's. I'm just saying, coffee
Cool.
is a miracle drug.
Well, I mean, to me, it's kind of like the studies on wine. I could see as many of these articles as you would like to send me. I'm still gonna have coffee in the morning. I don't care. I'm sorry, I'm addicted at this point. But yeah, so to remind you guys, this is a sponsor for today, Javi Coffee, so you can see it there, big on the camera. And Landon had pasted the affiliate link if you guys are interested. As we said at the beginning of the stream, coffee concentrate is great for if you're making coffee flavored desserts, if you're making a coffee martini, as Landon said. And this one's pretty good. Like you can't really tell from the camera, but I've drank to about down here. So you'll just have to trust me. I'm pointing right there. That's about how far I've drank. So I can say it's actually pretty good. It's one of the better coffee concentrates that I've tried because we do make coffee flavored desserts. So we bought some of these before and they're usually awful. But this one actually isn't awful. So yeah, exactly like tiramisu.
Tiramisu. Or I will say again, a coffee martini. Throw some chocolate in there. You got a mocha. Anyway.
That sounds so good right now.
It's 2 o'clock on a Saturday. I was about to say Wednesday. It's not a Wednesday. It's 2 o'clock on a Saturday, and I think it sounds great.
Now that Landon doesn't have classes to teach, she doesn't know what day it is anymore.
Honestly, a little bit.
I knew it.
I went on vacation for a week. I came home midweek, and now I'm just like, I am so lost. This is what the rest of the summer is gonna look like. I'm so confused.
Yep. So if you're a coffee drinker, points in your direction for health, according to Harvard.
Currently, you are going to live longer than if you don't drink coffee. That could change in a little while, but right now, that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's what the science says at the moment.
It's the miracle drug. So 2 to 3 cups of coffee in the morning, 1 glass of red wine at night, life's good.
There you go.
8 glasses of water in between those two things.
I mean, that is basically what I do, except instead of wine, I actually have a White Claw. I'm definitely seltzer most of the time, so.
That's not wine.
No, it's not, but I don't care.
Of wine, that's fine. I don't drink any of those most of the days, including water. I'm purely an iced tea person.
Oh, but do you sweeten your tea?
Huh?
Do you sweeten your tea or do you unsweet tea?
Maybe I sweeten my tea. I'm Southern. Not really at all.
No, you're not. Colorado is not Southern.
I am a sweet tea drinker.
Okay.
Which is not great, but that's fine.
No, I actually do. I actually will do both when I drink tea. I'll drink sweet tea or unsweet tea. It really depends, you know. All right.
Oh, you should get it that we can get your cat wine for your stream.
Oh,
Cat would love some cat wine.
There you go. There's an option for your wish list that we've been talking about. You should set up.
Karen says I should set up a wish list. So just know that you might have power and control over my background. I am offering that up.
I'm peer pressuring her. I'm peer pressuring her to have a wish list so that that we can send her things so that she looks like, you know, better and better and better every stream as she's been so far going in that direction.
Actually see my face instead of the blurry camera that I am.
Yeah, absolutely. That wall color made a huge difference. Okay.
All right.
So that was our article today. So with all of that being said, Landon, tell us where we can find you.
You can find me at Land in Maine on Twitter and Instagram, and Land in Reverie on TikTok. Even though I haven't posted on there in a while.
No, but when you were posting, it was really good.
It was. I do tarot card readings, so also hit me up on Discord and or any of those social medias if you want tarot cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
And where can they find you?
You can find me right here on Twitch. We stream on Saturdays. That's Interstage Window. It's my show that's a conversation. So that's where we have community days. That's where I'm hanging out with Landon most of the time. Sometimes we have guests. You know, it's all kind of good, fun stuff. And then I also stream on Thursdays. That's Artistic License. 6:30. All these times are Eastern. That is my solo stream where I do a little bit of whatever I want. Right now on that stream, we are playing Final Fantasy X. So, and we're towards the end of the game. So we're actually doing side quests and things like that before we go fight Sin. So trying to get all the celestial weapons before then. We'll see how many we actually get. But that's what we're doing right now on Artistic License. As far as where to find me everywhere else, I do everything the same way all other content creators do it. There's my socials. You can follow me all around any which way or wherever you want. And then also, Landon, what are we talking about next week on this show, next Saturday?
We're doing our second media episode next Saturday, and we're doing the Shadow and Bone Netflix series. And we have some spicy hot takes. We will be talking about love interest with villains and several other things. So if you would like to tune in and watch the show along with us, go ahead and watch it before next Saturday. And we will participate in the discussion talking about the relevancy of this show and what it means to as a Netflix show and also to us as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really excited about that. So y'all come watch. If you care about spoilers, yeah. If you care about spoilers, please go ahead and watch the show before the stream because there will be spoilers. If you do not, it's not spoiler free. It's not a spoiler free analysis. All right, let's find somebody to raid, y'all. Let's find somebody to raid. Okay, it doesn't look like any of my friends are online right now. Landon, are any of your Twitch friends online?
No, none of my friends are online.
Okay. Let me see if anybody from the Wolves Den is on. It doesn't look like they are. Okay. Oh, Thumper, yeah, do a guide the raid then, please, and put in your art friend's name and we'll raid one of your art friends. Thumper's gonna guide the raid, y'all. Thumper always has really good good art friend streams. Like who was the one that first one that we rated? Charmy, I think was her name. I still go watch her stream quite a lot. She's so nice and positive. Knock Smash. Okay. Knock Smash. All right. So that countdown is going right now. We're gonna go raid Knock Smash and see some arts. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I will see y'all all next week. And don't forget to make it a great day.
Don't forget to be awesome. Bye.
All right. Bye, y'all.